What up, Lex?
What's going on? How you doing?
Doing well, brother.
Back again.
That's right. One more time.
One more time. And what do we have here, fine folks? We've got, that's right, book number 5.
Book number
prefiero ser un narco. La fortuna de los adictos.
The fortune of the addicts.
I mean, I guess we can start, well, first.
Yeah, we're gonna do the subscribe and like to las historias de la ciudad.com.
Correct. Make sure to stop by the YouTube channel, drop some comments. Would love to hear from you guys and gals. Equal opportunity here. Whatever your thoughts are regarding this series, or if there are other books that you would like to see us do, don't hesitate to reach out and drop a line, and we'll be sure to respond. So here we go. So today's book, ¿Por qué prefiero ser un narco? Number 5. And so let's go ahead and just kind of start with the title.
Yeah.
La fortuna de los adictos.
That's right. Well, you know, if you've been following along, we know that Luis Restrepo is an addict.
Yes, he is.
And he's had several overdoses now.
Yeah.
I think that you continue to see some of that in book 5.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, the title means what happens to addicts. The consequences of being an addict and the luck or the fortune that they have because they're addicts. So, and we'll break it all down into the different parts of what makes book 5
Mm-hmm.
and the good takeaways from it. We're not going to reveal some of the big moments, but we'll get through it with it.
Sounds like a plan. Yeah, I mean, do addicts have luck?
Well, I guess they could have good luck or bad luck, depending on whether they continue living or not.
I mean, but I guess if you're an addict, you already have bad luck, so to speak, because you got a disease, and that maybe you're able to cure, maybe you're not able to cure. But you do have a disease, and to that extent, anybody that has a disease, like, do you consider yourself lucky? And so I guess that's one way to look at it. And then another kind of perspective is, I feel that if we're talking about an addict's luck, it's always going to run short.
Yeah, and I think there's no deficit of examples out there of an addict's life running short because of an addiction. I mean, we joke about it, but it's a serious thing, and all the consequences that have happened to Luis Restrepo. If you read the whole series, you can basically chalk it up to his drug consumption.
Mm-hmm.
It led him to make all the good and bad decisions that he made.
Correct.
And I guess since we aren't going on to a book 6, we all know that his luck runs out.
Yeah. I mean, I will say that there have been a number of calls for the series to continue.
Yeah.
A lot of the people that have read the book and the series to this point have contacted Las Historias de la Ciudad and asked about the series to see if it was going to continue on. There is some talk about that, so if that's something that you'd like to see, please drop that kind of information in the comments so that we know.
But no, a lot of people have requested for the character to continue, for the book to keep moving forward, and that's cool. We'll see what we can definitely do about that.
See what we can do about that. All right. right. So we talked about the title and whether having a disease or an addiction could ever be looked at as lucky, and then the idea that an addict's luck is almost always going to run short. I mean, there are times, I don't know whether you're watching, what's the show, America's Most Wanted, right, or something like that, or even in different movies where, for whatever reason, this particular addict avoids jail or doesn't get in the car, and so they don't get busted, or they decided not to go home, and then they live.
I guess that's what can be considered luck on their part.
Exactly. I think it is. Some people obviously have better luck than others.
Yeah, when you're an addict, luck is how long you stay alive.
Like I guess how long you can stay alive. How long you can keep this going. Yeah. Because being an addict, especially if you're doing
it becomes a lifestyle.
And not just it, but an unsustainable lifestyle.
Definitely. Most definitely.
And so...
definitely run out of resources.
Somehow, some way, whether it's money, whether it's time, whether it's freedom, whether it's life, air, heartbeat, blood, like all of these
bulletproof vest, you run out.
Yeah, you're gonna run out because it's just not, it's not a sustainable lifestyle. And I guess to the extent that people get lucky and they're allowed to continue this lifestyle for another day, another month, another week, and the moment they might consider themselves lucky that I missed the landlord because somebody called my phone, or he had to go someplace else, so I'm not worried about paying the rent today. I'm gonna go get high. But that means tomorrow we know the landlord is gonna be knocking on your door again,
and we can definitely use that analogy and relate it to Luis, because he's making decisions that are eventually going to lead to his demise.
Yeah. And he's entered into an unsustainable lifestyle and
made a deal with the devil.
And what we get to in book 5, I guess now is a good kind of segue to get into some of the meat and potatoes, some of the core of book 5. When we get into book 5, we see that he's conscious of the decision. He understands this is not a sustainable lifestyle. But given his circumstances, poor, no money, no education, lack of resources, and an addict,
he's got no other reason why he shouldn't be a narco.
This is true. Well, as he sees it, and he doesn't see any legitimate options. And when I say legitimate, like legitimate in terms of legal, and then legitimate in terms of practical, like what is it that I'm really going to be able to do tomorrow to feed my daughter?
Well, and I think we've gotten into that as we've discussed in other books, and we were going to make mention of it here. The situation in Venezuela is the main factor right now for, people like Luis Restrepo preferring to do, criminal activities as opposed to getting a real job and trying to get ahead that way, because those circumstances over there are extremely limited, and unless you're a corrupt government official or somebody has ties to one, you're not really getting ahead over there right now. So your environment is important for as an individual to grow and prosper. And right now, for Luis Restrepo, his environment in in Venezuela is the worst thing that could happen. It's actually more beneficial to being a narco, to being a criminal, because the criminality is so rampant there that you could just your criminal activity could hide amongst the rest of criminal activities that are ongoing.
Yeah.
So that makes it a worthwhile decision for him, because there's more resources on that side for him. So, and as we start getting into the meat and potatoes, like you said, this book starts with his business expanding.
Yeah.
and growing, and money that he's never made before. And we see his character begin to question whether it's worth it now,
right,
to have those resources, that kind of money, because now he doesn't really know what to do with it. And if you've been following the book, it's come at an incredible expense.
Right. And so this now, is it worth it?
Yeah.
And what is kind of the risk and the reward? What is the real benefit out of this? Exactly. He begins to kind of question some of his decisions based on the point where we see him in book 5. Did I make the right decision? Did I make the right decision?
And whether he wants to continue being in the business, because he's lost a significant part of his life as a result of getting all this money. He's lost part of his family. So he needs to. It's making him question himself on whether this is worth it, like you said.
Because in losing part of his family, he really loses a huge part of his motivation.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, he wasn't doing. Obviously, I think at some point he crossed the line and things turned where, I want a bigger house, or I want
more security,
or I want this nice car. Like what was it, book 2 or 3 where he gets the truck?
Book 4. It was in book 4. He went in and got his wife truck.
But before he got himself a truck. I think in book 2. And
I can't recall right now, but I remember. Well, in this particular book, he continues to. We see him going on a spending spree.
Yeah. For
no reason whatsoever, just because he needs to get rid of all this money that he has now, because he has so much that he doesn't even. He says it himself that he doesn't even know how much he has,
right,
and whether they're stealing from him.
Right, and he's starting to lose and. Because of the scale of the business that he's at, it forces him to question a lot, and his lack of motivation in losing his family has really affected him and kind of hit him
hit him
real hard and at the wrong time,
right,
given kind of the lifestyle that he's chosen. There's never a good time to take your eye off the ball, but. And as the story goes, this is not the moment that you want to be sleeping at the wheel.
Yeah, most definitely. The book continues to get Luis into this mindset of revenge. The loss of his family has totally consumed him in every way. It's the only thing that he's thinking about. So he wants to exact revenge on those that made him hurt so much.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes about doing this, and in doing so, he begins to wonder some of his business relationships, and whether those business relationships are whether he's being taken advantage of, and whether he's even considering taking advantage of others.
Yeah.
So it becomes this mindset that he gets in, where has all this rage and all this anger about the loss of his family, really creates a lot of confusion in his mind.
Yeah.
You said at the wrong time. It's creating a lot of confusion in its mind, and it's making him wonder, whether he should continue in the business,
mm-hmm,
whether he should take advantage of others as like an escape plan,
mm-hmm,
and considers whether he's even taken advantage of.
Yeah.
So he's confused, but he still understands that he has a path to follow.
True. He understands the role that he signed up for, mm-hmm, and regardless of whether, he doesn't know, and he acknowledges he doesn't know how this is going to turn out. But in some respects, the die has already been cast, and let's kind of play it out.
Right, he's gotta
see where this goes.
It's too late to back out now.
It's too late, and the idea, when you talk about the revenge, and this is a kind of carryover from book 4.
Right.
That idea.
A lot of revenge in this series.
A lot of revenge in this series.
Which is something incredibly common in the narco world. You know, the narco world thrives on, you know, attacking and those that were attacked seeking revenge, and then those that were attacked want to seek revenge on those that attacked them. So it's like a continuous motion.
Especially if we're talking about Latin America, because you got to bring in the family aspect.
Exactly. Right away, your family is your biggest valuable, and they want to take that from you.
Exactly, and like just everybody's connected. We saw in book 1 that Costello was in business with his cousins.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, if, you know, any harm that comes to Costello,
well, it was his cousins that came and exacted vengeance on Luis Restrepo for what he had done to Costello.
Right.
So here's Luis trying to go back and exact revenge on them. So it's this continuous, you know, attack and revenge that just continues to fuel the underbelly of the narco world, and it's like something that you can't get rid of. It's part of the process.
It is
part of the business.
It is part of the business, and you know, it's another reason not to involve yourself in that
type of business.
Yeah, because it could get extremely messy when you're talking about business and family, loyalty and priority. You know, those are concepts that don't necessarily mix well in that.
So if you're thinking about becoming a narco, read this series and then make your choice.
Do so, because you're gonna get the not only the bird's eye perspective, but you really get inside the head of Luis as he's going through these trials and tribulations. We talked about him, you know, contemplating whether or not he was being taken advantage of. You know, that is one of the things that I really enjoy about the series, in a general sense, is the way that it's written. You feel like you're right there. Yeah. You feel like you're inside, you know, the head, and while you as a reader are aware of some of the situations that are happening outside of Luis, you still feel like you're always, you know.
I think we discussed that in book 1 when we were so blown away by this writing style, you know, where you actually felt like you were there, and it was one of the things that we really hit on when we did our first blog and our first book read, you know, of book 1, and it's the most highlighting thing of this particular series.
Yeah.
That you are on a ride with this man. You are on a ride, and you get to experience everything like he's feeling. He's really unfiltered. He's really raw.
Yes. Yeah. And
until even book 5. I mean,
that's something that stays with you, and that kind of inside the head perspective. So if you are considering that type of lifestyle, I mean, there's really no joke. Definitely read the series so you can get an idea of what that's like. The books are fiction, but they are based on real events, and you feel that with each.
And fiction couldn't be more real, people. Yeah. When it comes to these books,
it is true. They could not be any more real.
So anyways, one of the things that predominantly we've talked about too, and I think we went over it a little bit, and we've hit it on every single one, and there's no reason why we shouldn't have hit it on this last one, because it is prevalent in this book also, is the Venezuelan government corruption.
Yeah.
So, you know, we see that in and out, that nothing is done now without being facilitated by whether it's military officials or government officials. Huge shipments of narcotics going from one place to another, passing through numerous checkpoints, just green flagged all the way through because it's been paid all the way through. And that's why Venezuela has become like the hub now of shipping of narcotics out of South America to numerous destinations, Europe, the Mexico, the United States directly. I mean, it's all laid out. The routes are all specified, the shipments are all discussed. So there's a lot of detail there about exactly how the business is going down and how the connections are made within the government to facilitate all this narco activity. And we're just talking about one guy.
Yeah.
So imagine the magnitude of all the other narcos that are there. And this is a guy that came from being an addict, having nothing, and becoming, probably a mid-level heavy narco with enough money to, throw around and have a good life and stuff. And he's getting this facilitated for him. So imagine the guys that are way above him, like the Tinos and the Jose Pastos and those guys. Those guys are buying their way through everything.
It's really incredible. Luis himself talks about it. You get to see the difference between Luis in book 2 and what they had to do to go to cross into Colombia and to get across the border, what that experience was like. That's a very different experience
than how it is now.
Exactly. We fast forward just a few months in the story, and it's just like, oh man, yeah.
We go through here like this is our house.
There's no time at all. We pick the right time. It's all coordinated, and then we get in the car and go.
Yeah, so, this level of involvement by corrupt Venezuelan government officials and military is now the norm for narcos doing business in Venezuela. And that's just the way that it is. So, it's an environment that basically promotes itself.
Yeah,
because when you have the key figures of the state who are supposed to be trying to abate this kind of stuff, they're the ones that are continuing to prop it up. Then it's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, and that is consistent from book 1 through book 5, and the difference throughout the series is Luis's position in the game. And his position continues to rise, and so as a reader you get to see through different lenses and different perspectives of how this game works and in Venezuela, especially along the border with Colombia.
We're talking about consistency. One of the things that I found to be the most consistent as we went from book 1 all the way through book 5 is that Luis never changes his story on why he prefers to be a narco. And we discussed this in book 1 because he explains it exactly what are the reasons why he wanted to do this. To provide for his daughter and his wife, to not be looked down upon with those that have money, to be able to be around those people that he wanted to be, and for them to envy him as well as he used to envy them, and to acquire all those things that money can buy to provide you a home. And in book 5, almost down to the letter, he describes it again on why he did this.
Yeah.
It's almost like, you begin with an introduction and you almost end with a similar statement as your introduction as to why you did what you did, or you wrote what you wrote. And we see that here in this book, and it's something that I particularly, it caught my attention because it's almost like a thesis, where you present it up top and then you prove it at the bottom. So he basically does the same thing. It's almost like a thesis in how to be a narco, and he's consistent on his message, and he's real about all the reasons why.
I don't think as a person I would like Luis Restrepo, but I love the character.
Oh yeah, the character is amazing.
As And as a person, like I feel like you have to respect that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because he doesn't change ever.
He doesn't change.
At any point, I mean, he's consistent in why I'm here, what it is that I have to do, and these are the cards that were dealt. I'm going to play it as if I had a full house.
Yeah, exactly. And he may question some things within himself.
Yeah.
But they're never outside of what he knows that he has to do.
Exactly. He's not pondering, yoga postures or, new keto recipes or anything like that. Now, he's focused on the game and about getting what he came to get. From what he set out to do, that's what he's doing. And from book 1 all the way through book 5, Luis is extremely consistent in that. And I feel like you gotta respect that. Both as a character, as a person, and then for the actual story itself. If Luis were to find religion at some point over something crazy, I don't think it would ring true.
No, I don't think so either.
This guy changing because of that?
Yeah.
His daughter broke her arm, because she slipped on something in the house that was related to the business. Is Luis changing? No, he's not changing because his daughter broke her arm or anything like that. He runs into some long lost cousin who's disappointed in his career choice. Is Luis changing because of the opinion of some long lost cousin?
No, not at all. So he remains consistent in his reasons on why he chose this path in life, and he understands that in this world certain things definitely end abruptly sometimes.
Right.
And he's cognizant of that, and he's going forward, and in this world there's a lot of betrayal.
Yeah.
There's a lot of betrayal. There's a lot of just people try to take advantage of others, and he's thought about taking advantage of others just like others have taken advantage of him. And ultimately, it is that game that finishes the story.
That's an excellent way to put it. Betrayal on some level it comes with the territory.
Yeah, it's part of the business.
It's part of the business, and it has to be expected. That's why you see so much money being invested into security, and intelligence, and in information, because those are the things that can protect you to some degree, at some level, from what in most cases is an eventual outcome, and that eventual outcome is death or jail. And so what it is, we talked about this before. It's an unsustainable lifestyle, and the idea is to kind of extend the game as long as you can, however you can. And unfortunately, there's a limit to the number of times that you can push the start button.
Yeah, and then book 5, we reach that one.
I mean, on that note, I think we're gonna wrap, because Luis has reached his limit, and it appears that there is a limit to the luck of an addict.
Yeah, definitely. But still, this series is amazing. These 5 books. I'll be honest, I can't tell you that I've ever enjoyed more a series than this one. It was incredibly fun. It was, I definitely recommend it. I want to make a movie out of it. So, but yeah, definitely get through book 5, hit us up, let us know what you think. and let's talk about it. You know, we've presented a whole bunch of themes here today that are definitely could be conversation points.
Most
all
definitely.
of them on their own.
Yep.
So hit us up and let us know, and we'll hit you back, and we'll figure it out.
There it is. Well, thank you, each and every one of you, for watching, and we'll be back next week with a new book and quite possibly a new series to discuss.
We got more.
We definitely got more in the world of Narco Lit. So thanks again for joining Lex and Los, and until the next time,
Peace.